We gonna go through his whole grand jury testimony right now before he get in the courtroom, and I'm gonna make sure that the prosecution is doing their job, because I'm gonna break it down right here for y'all right now, right? And if the prosecution is not paying attention, if they not watching, I'm hoping at least that the defense is watching so they can eat his ass up, right? Now watch this. I'm gonna address a few things, right? Right now, listen. Let's follow me here. This is Reggie's grand jury testimony, right? Yes, sir. That we had grew up with and from the city of Compton and other cities. Yeah, I could say other places as well, Long Beach and the Los Angeles area. But we was real instrumental in doing that. That was a big thing that he wanted to do or was proud of, to be honest. And so my father got some intel that a few other guys that were working for him, which is he's talking about Suge. Let me backtrack a little bit so y'all could see who he's talking about. All right, right here. So, hold on. Hold on 1 second. I just want to close this window out. Okay, here we go. And I'm gonna play this Suge audio to break down all this stuff because he's addressing all this, right? Now, check it out. Riz, I'm definitely enjoying it. I'm loving it. So right here it says, what page is this in the grand jury testimony? So I know. Page 22 in the grand jury testimony. Now you had mentioned before we talked about what you did at Death Row. Can you tell us what Death Row actually was? Death Row Records was a record label that had one or two R&B singers on it, but mainly were gangster rap music. And to your knowledge, Mr. Roden Rat Jr., who ran Death Row Records? Suge. Well, Marion Hugh Knight, rat bastard. Like he got to give governments and everything. Suge, Marion Hugh Knight is his name, but we call him, or I refer to him really as Suge Knight. He was the CEO of the company. Oink, oink. And what would you call him when you interacted with him? He was my sugar bear. Suge. Suge? Yeah. So we can just call him Suge. Okay. That's my boo thing. So did there ever come a point where the idea of you moonlighting for Suge came up? It eventually happened in like 1994. And how did that come about? Well, my father, Reggie Wright Sr., had got some intel that some of the guys that were working for him, because he was instrumental, may not have been a smart move finding out later, but at that time of hiring guys that were just getting out of prison and giving them jobs. And by By saying they, you mean Suge was hiring people just out of prison and giving them jobs? Yes, sir. Oink, oink. That he had grew up with and from the city of Compton and other cities. Yeah. I could say other places, well, Long Beach and Los Angeles, in the Los Angeles area. But he was real instrumental in doing that. That was a big thing that he wanted to do or was proud of, to be honest. And so my father got some intel that for a few of the guys that were working for him were planning on coming after him and extorting him, robbing him for money. He knew he had, he knew he and I had a relationship, and he told me, hey, I need you to reach out to Suge and get a hold of Suge. I need you to reach out and get a hold of Suge. To this day, I don't remember how I did it, but I know I eventually got to him and we met, the three of us. And so when you say the three of us, who are you talking about? Myself, Reginald Sr., and Mr. Knight, or Suge Knight. And what happened at this meeting? Pretty much him saying, man, some of the guys that you have working for you are planning on maybe, robbing you and taking advantage of you for some money. That he had got this information. He laughed it off. Oh man, they all happy. They won't do nothing to me. I ain't worried about that. But that's why you all need to be over there working with me. Oh, well, let me change the voice back to Suge. I ain't worried about that. But that's why you all need to be over there working with me, looking out. Myself, I had just recently had a traffic accident. This is not why I'm like this currently. I had messed up my right ankle. So, and plus I was 27 years of age. And it was in the mid 90s. The atmosphere and everything was what I wasn't married. I wanted to be around it, for the lack of a better word, meaning around, he wanted to be around the fame and fortune so he could get some hoes. He wasn't married at the time. We know because that was Keefy D and Suge's broad at the time. It's fair to say it's at that time, gangster rap was taking off, particularly in Compton, fair to say? Yes, sir. But wait a minute. Let's stick with his father and him, right? Got intel that Suge was going to get robbed. And this is why they went to Suge, and this is why Suge hired them to, come work for him. But let's let Suge address that, right? Let Suge address that. We're gonna come back to that. All right, go ahead.
Other thing is this. I never, ever, ever gave Orlando Anderson $1 for me personally. Red's father, Big Red, said that on the interview. They said the crazy thing about all that is that
choke no joke, Chicky choke no joke.
Orlando Anderson was suing Tupac for beating his ass. When he came to court and testified on my behalf, it's not like he just said some shit. He pointed out things in that video that you can see.
Choke no joke, Chicky choke no joke. Don't try to steal my content, niggas. These niggas are trying to piece it together. All right, go ahead.
You know, other thing is this. I never, ever, ever gave Orlando Anderson $1 for me personally. Red's father, Big Red, said that on the interview. They said the crazy thing about all that is that
All right, go ahead.
you know, other thing is this. I never, ever, ever gave Orlando Anderson $1 for me personally.
Joke, no joke.
Red's father, Big Red, said that on the interview. They said
Joke, no
the crazy
joke.
thing about all that is that Orlando Anderson was suing Tupac for beating his ass.
Joke, no
When
joke.
he came to court and testified on my behalf, it's not like he just said some shit. He pointed out things in that video that you can see I saved his life and helped him.
Joke, no
So
joke.
it can't be a lie. So all these lies and stuff is some bullshit, number one. Number
Joke,
two,
no joke.
my sister best friend is a woman named Sheila, who's married to Danny Sneed. Danny Sneed was a top-ranked guy in the Compton PD and the sheriffs. We was doing Murder Was a Case, a premiere. I hired Danny Sneed to do the security and all that type of stuff.
Joke, no joke.
After he was doing it, there was a lot of negative things going on for the company's name. He felt it would be in his best interest not to keep moving forward.
Joke, no joke.
Now, Reggie Jr. got into some shit. Big Reg wanted me to hire him. He said, give him a job doing anything, right? So
Now, y'all heard that? Reggie Jr. got into something, and he wanted, Reggie Sr. wanted Suge to hire Reggie. Now, we know, according to Arnie, right, the Compton cop, that Reggie was about to get fired from the Compton PD, right? And Arnie's, one of his former partners, I think they was partners, but the guy that's in the video with him, he got intel that they were getting ready to fire Reggie, right? So he goes to Reggie and he tells Reggie about his talks of him being fired. And the only way that Reggie could get out of it or not get fired is if he get injured. So according to this guy, allegedly, Reggie injured himself on purpose because the guy told him, yo, hurt yourself. You know what I'm saying? This way they won't be able to fire you. So the same day that Reggie was about to get fired, he hurt himself. So when Suge say Reggie was in some stuff and he needed him to hire Reggie, I believe, my personal belief, I think that's what Arnie and the Compton cop and the other cop, they was talking about when Reggie hurt himself, and this is how he's getting disability to this day, even after being convicted for selling drugs for all those years, right? That's what Suge is talking about. Let me bring it back a little bit.
and stuff is some bullshit, number one. Number two, Red's father, Big Red, said that on the interview. They said the crazy thing about all that is that Orlando Anderson was suing Tupac for beating his ass.
Joke, no joke.
When he came to court and testified on my behalf, it's not like he just said some shit. He pointed out things in that video that you can see I saved his life and helped him.
Joke, no joke.
So it can't be a lie. So all these lies and stuff is some bullshit, number one.
Joke,
Number
no
two,
joke.
my sister best friend is a woman named Sheila, who's married to Danny Sneed. Danny Sneed was a top-ranked guy in the Compton PD and the sheriffs.
Joke, no
We was
joke.
doing Murder Was a Case, a premiere. I hired Danny Sneed to do the security and all that type of stuff. After he was doing it, there was a lot of negative things going on for the company's name. He felt it would be in his best interest not to keep moving forward.
Check,
Now,
no joke.
Reggie Jr. got into some shit. Big Reg wanted me to hire him. He said, give him a job doing anything, right? So I said, well, he can't work for me directly at none of these guys. So I helped Reggie Jr. Set up right way security.
Choke, no joke.
I laid the thing to help him out. And all this stuff about Reg said, he told me that the homies, a couple of homies wanted to do something to me, kidnap me or whatever, right?
Choke, no joke.
Well, did he report that to his superiors?
Choke, no joke. Now, you heard that from Suge, right? The same thing that's in his test in the grand jury. Reggie says, "Oh, they got intel that they wanted to kidnap him, right?" Now, let me tell you a little story from a birdie that I heard out of Compton, right? I was told that allegedly Reggie Wright Sr., Eric Perrin allegedly, and somebody else, I can't think of who it wasn't Reggie Jr., was having a meeting at this, I think it was a lodge or a restaurant, and someone overheard them having a meeting scheming on Suge. The play was to tell Suge that niggas was getting ready to move on him and he needed them for protection. This was their way for them to get money out of death row, because at that time, Suge had just got 120 million or 100 and something million. So they would allegedly, they were sitting around scheming and came up with this plot to tell Suge that Buntry and was planning on kidnapping him and this, that, and the third. This is why Suge says, no, the niggas wasn't going to do nothing to me, you know. And allegedly, that was the play that set up Reggie Wright Jr. to get into death row, according to rumors. I'm gonna say, I ain't gonna put the person name out there who told me that. You know what I'm saying? You know who you are, right? And I ain't got my notes in front of me, or I would tell you exactly where they had the meeting at, what street it was on, and everything. I'll double back on that later in the week, right? So, like Suge said, if Reginald Wright Sr. got intel that they was getting ready to kidnap Suge and extort Suge, why didn't he report that to his superiors? Why wasn't that taken to his superiors at the Compton PD or even taken to the LAPD that these guys was going to do that? If you had intel, why wasn't the feds notified? Anybody, right? So instead of you notifying law enforcement, you want Suge to hire you to protect him from his own friends, the police? Listen.
After he was doing it, there was a lot of negative things going on for the company's name. He felt it would be in his best interest not to keep moving forward.
No joke.
Reggie Jr. got into some shit. Big Reg wanted me to hire him. He said, give him a job doing anything, right? So I said, well, he can't work for me directly at none of these guys. So I helped Reggie Jr. Set up right way security. I laid the thing to help him out. And all this stuff about Reg said, he told me that the homies, a couple of homies wanted to do something to me, kidnap me or whatever, right? Well, did he report that to his superiors? Or better yet, I never had security nowhere. I had a driver here and there. I never had no security in the hood. I now have security at these other spots.
Choke,
And
no
I damn
joke.
sure never had no security going to the fight.
Choke, no
So,
joke. Now, once again, let's go back to the grand jury, right? We'll get back to that. What did Suge just say? He never had no goddamn security in the hood. He never had no goddamn security. And he damn sure ain't had no security as far as these homeboy security. Well, he ain't had no security at the fight. He said that. He had no security at the fight. Is he lying when he say that? Buntry is not a licensed security guard. Henron is not a licensed security guard. Neckbone is not a licensed security officer. They go to jail if they pull their guns out. If they had a gun, they go to jail if they shoot somebody, right? Now, we know that Neckbone in a recent interview said on Vlad that, he jumped out, and chased the car, or attempted to, but it was gone by the time he jumped out the car. That's not Neckbone being security. If Neckbone was being security, he may have been in the car or in the car right behind Suge, right? That's a homie. That's a rider. That's not security. Okay? And you're right, E-Bird, EJ Bird, they were all felons. So we know they wasn't security. And them being with Suge that night, they go into the fight, they all are hanging out. Them niggas can't go into MGM Grand with guns. They went to the fight to hang out. Now, they may have had their own guns as being gang members, but they were not security. And like Suge said, he didn't have security in Vegas. Reggie was supposed to be his security. Everybody know that Reggie shadowed Suge whenever he wanted. Whenever Suge was going somewhere, Reggie was a shadow, except for the day that Tupac gets shot. Reggie's nowhere to be found. Reggie ain't got one security guard on Suge and them outside of Frank Alexander. Now, let's go here for the impeachment. Is it fair to say that at the time gangster rap was taking off, particularly in Compton? Fair to say? Yes. And with that brought a lot of money, girls, and all the things associated with fame? Correct. I sit on the 50-yard line of the Super Bowl, stuff that I hadn't done, just from being a cop that I was exposed to. Reggie was not a cop anymore. So it's fair to say you were attracted to the lifestyle that your acquaintance Suge Knight had developed. Yes, sir. And so did your father did your father decide to work for Death Row Records? He right there told him, I can't do that, the position I'm in. To be honest, most of the guys that was working for you, I'm trying to investigate. Investigating them on open cases right now. I'm trying to put them in jail. I wouldn't do that. So I'm confused. Reggie Rice Sr. doesn't want to take the job to do security at Death Row Records because he's trying to lock up the Neckbones, the Henrons, the Buntrees, the Marv Jameses, right? But he would let his son go over there and work for Death Row, even though he's trying to lock these guys up. That makes sense to you? Or is he putting his son in there to spy on the death row people that he wants to arrest? Would you be comfortable if you were Suge saying, oh, Suge, I can't work for you because I'm trying to arrest your crew, but I'm going to let my son come over there and work for you because I'm going to arrest him. But my son, you know, he's not a cop no more. He could go over there. He could work with y'all. You know, I can't do it because I'm trying to arrest these niggas. You're going to be comfortable letting this nigga's son come work for you, knowing that his daddy is trying to lock your dudes up? Anyway, so your father was a hard no when it came to, yeah, it was a hard no. It was like, however, he even told him that I wasn't even ready for it, you know, to be honest. And he recommended a lieutenant that had ownership in a security company that he knew, that Suge knew his, you know, some family ties to that, and said you might want to talk with him, which he did. His name was Danny Sneed, and he was a lieutenant. And he eventually was the boss as far as putting paperwork and contacting the security company, which was a private company called Code 4 Security, and having them kind of do stuff where I was like the street supervisor or whatever. I would always be with them when they needed, like special events or they went places. It wasn't like everyday. It wasn't like an everyday bodyguard thing. It was just there at a video shoot or when they go to the MTV Awards or something like that. So I think we skipped a step. So you ultimately decide that you would moonlight for Suge in Death Row. Yes, sir. But we thought you was disabled. We thought you was hurt. So you couldn't work for the Compton PD because you was disabled, but you was able to work doing bodyguard work, same thing you would be doing as a police officer, more or less, being on your feet all day, flat-footed. So you could go to video shoots and the MTV Awards and do all this stuff, but you can't go to work because you hurt. And you still getting this pension or this disability to this day. You couldn't work for the Compton PD, but you was able to work for Code 4 Security Company. You couldn't work for the Compton PD, but you was able to travel around the world and tell Suge and them, right? And you still getting disability today. After a drug conviction. Okay. Let's see if the prosecutors ask Reggie any of these questions. And if they don't, this is a cover-up. Okay, and despite your father thinking it wasn't the greatest idea, you decided you wanted to be a part of it. Well, to be in charge of it. Someone else was in charge. And then, so at this point, you're moonlighting, like you were mentioning, bodyguarding for Suge every now and again, going to events at this point. At that point, yes, sir. That don't make sense. At some point, do you suffer another physical injury that causes you to resign from Compton PD? Yes, sir. Can you just tell us briefly what that injury was? Yes, I had a traffic accident where I re-injured the right ankle that I had where I couldn't, my ankle would just swell up just by standing on it for an hour or two. And so I knew at that point I wasn't capable, when the city also knew I wasn't capable of being a patrol officer for the city of Compton, you know, anymore. But you could be a patrol officer for goddamn Death Row Records. You probably stood on your feet longer at Death Row Records than you would as a patrol officer because you be sitting in the car most of the time riding around. But that's neither here nor there, right? So did you take a medical retirement from the Compton PD? Yes, sir. What the hell is a medical retirement for a swollen ankle? Like I told you, allegedly Reggie was about to be getting fired. And if you go watch Arnie the Compton Cops video, his partner or the guy that's in the video told Reggie to intentionally hurt himself so he couldn't get fired. And y'all telling me this nigga took a medical retirement from a swollen ankle? Not a gunshot wound. Not getting shot up and being paralyzed. This nigga took a medical retirement from the Compton PD for a swollen ankle. You talking about corruption? I then became really more involved with Death Row Record Security and also opened my own private security company. And I'm sorry, about what month and year did you resign? I resigned it didn't become official until about 1996. However, January of 1996. However, I was off about a year, going through that whole process. And my company, and that probably started around April of 1995, where I was more around. Now we go back to Suge, right?
We was doing Murder Was the Case, a premiere. I hired Danny Sneed to do this bullshit, number one. Number two, my sister best friend is a woman named Sheila, who's married to Danny Sneed. Sure. Danny Sneed was a top-ranked guy in the Compton PD and the sheriffs. We was doing Murder Was the Case, a premiere. I hired Danny Sneed to do the security and all that type of stuff. After he was doing it, there was a lot of negative things going on for the company's name. He felt it be in his best interest not to keep moving forward. Now, Reggie Jr. got into some shit. Big Reg wanted me to hire him. He said, give him a job doing anything, right? So I said, well, he can't work for me directly at none of these guys. So I helped Reggie Jr. Set up right way security. I laid the thing to help him out. And all this stuff about Red said, he told me that the homies, a couple of homies wanted to do something to me, kidnap me or whatever, right? Well, did he report that to his superiors? Or better yet, I never had security nowhere. I had a driver here and there. I never had no security in the hood. I never had security at these other spots. And I damn sure never had no security going to the fight. So that's not paint a picture that's not true. But it's still a respect level. I get it. You guys get paid to do those interviews. But there's so much other things you can talk about for corruption in the city or the PD or, sheriffs. I never complained about the sheriffs use my luxury box in a Staples Center. I was in prison. They went damn near every game without my knowledge or my permission to see Kobe Bryant and Shaq.
No joke.
All the expensive champagne, wine, steak, dessert trays, all on my tab.
No joke.
I got arrested one time with the Chino. They took my earring, what was cost over $100,000. They told me it was out of 3 police who could have took it. Never got it back. Never got paid for it. I don't play these games, but the truth is the truth. One thing for sure, one thing for certain, everyone claims and thinks, the whole world thinks, that Pac got shot and later died because he whooped Orlando Anderson's ass.
Y'all heard that? Check. Now, as what Suge just said, everybody thinks Pac got killed for whipping Orlando's ass. Same thing he said on TMZ, right? Same thing he said on TMZ. Everybody think Pac got killed for whipping Orlando's ass. Didn't he say that today on TMZ? So if Pac didn't get killed for whipping Orlando Anderson's ass, then why did Pac get killed? If Pac didn't get killed for whipping Orlando Anderson's ass, why did Reggie Sr., Reynolds, Edie Falls, Keefe D, and Orlando Anderson meet up? If Reggie want to claim that he was there, why did they all meet up and give Orlando $60,000 cash? Anyone? Anyone? If Suge is telling you everybody thinks that Pac got killed for whipping Orlando Anderson's ass, and that is a false narrative. And like Suge said, it was an assassination, right? Why would Reggie or his daddy be meeting up with the killer and giving him $60,000 if he did it? You think that the prosecution is going to ask Reggie, why did y'all meet up with Orlando Anderson and give him $60,000 if y'all were claiming that he was the one that killed Tupac? Because you called your father within the hour and told him it was Orlando Anderson. That is documented on 7 times. If the prosecution does not ask Reggie, why did y'all meet up with Orlando Anderson and Keefe D, you, your father, Edie Falls, Reynolds, whoever you want to say, because Reggie, you claim it was you that was there. And you did it. It wasn't your father. We know you always trying to protect your father. But according to Keefe D, it was your father. But let's just say it was Reggie. I'm glad Reggie's saying it was him, right? My question is, do you think the prosecution should ask Reggie, well, if you knew that Orlando Anderson and the Southside Crips shot Tupac, why did you meet up with him and give him $60,000? Do y'all think they're going to ask him that? I hope the defense do. Now, let me take you real quick. Shout out to Suge, right? Let me show you something else in the grand jury that's going to blow your mind. Hold on, I'm almost there. This next one is a mic drop. The next thing I'm going to show y'all is a mic drop. Watch this. I put the world on Reggie will get goddamn impeached. Watch. Unless the prosecution is down with him. Now, I need y'all to tune in and watch this. Check this out. Reggie stated today on TMZ that he didn't meet he didn't meet Keefe D until 2014, right? In Corona, California, where he ran into him outside of a grocery store that Keefe D wife worked at, and Keefe D approached him and introduced himself in 2014. He did not know him then, right? Check this out. Now, I want to get to another award show, the Soul Train Awards in 1996. Now, remember, we in 1996, y'all. We in 1996. Let me highlight this so y'all can see. Right? 1996. You see it? Reggie said he didn't meet Keefe D until 2014, which would be 96, 2006, 2016, 18 years later, right? Reggie is saying he didn't meet Keefe D until 18 years after 1996, right? Even though they grew up in the same Compton neighborhood, right? Even though we know Reggie, according to his federal paperwork, is a Great Street Crip, and Keefe D is a South Side Crip, right? Those neighborhoods ain't far from each other, right? Reggie said he didn't meet Keefe D until 2014, right? Check this out. This is why I'm the best at this. Now I want to get to another award show, the Soul Train Awards in 1996. Were you, Reggie Wright Jr., at the Soul Train Awards? Yes, sir. Where was the Soul Train Awards? It was at the Shrine Auditorium, Los Angeles, California. Shrine Auditorium. And to your knowledge, was Bad Boy record label also expected to be at the Soul Train Awards? Yes, sir. Can you tell us about what your experience leading up to the Soul Train Awards? There was some back and forth regarding, who was going to open up the award show, where Mr. Cornelius, that's Don Cornelius, may he rest in peace, elected to go with Biggie Smalls to open up the show. So Mr. Knight pulled Mr. Shakur from performing at that particular show. However, he convinced Mr. Knight to have Mr. Shakur come, and that he would be very happy, were his exact words, that I heard him tell him. And so, was there a decision made to actually attend the Soul Train Awards? Yes, sir. And this is in March of 1996. Yes, sir. And so how many people arrived or go to the Soul Train Awards from Death Row? On that particular night or day, we brought about 50 to 60 associates. And by 50, 60 associates, I assume Some of them are people that work for Right Way Protective Services. Is that right? Actually, that particular night, we only had about 2 of my guys there. So then who make up for the 50 or 60? A few artists, maybe about 8 to 10 of them. And the others were gang members from the Compton area, not just Mall Piru, but from Piru areas in the city of Compton. So all blood sets. Pirus is what we call them in Compton. Okay. Piru sets, nigga. Yes, sir. Sir, which is the same as Bloods. Okay? Keep riding, nigga. Give us all the intel on the niggas. Is it communicated to you how you are going to enter the award show, whether it's the front or back, or how does that work, right? So our intent initially was to all go up in through the back gate, a private entry, the back where they have motorhomes, Snickers, Winnebagels, and where the artists come out, like their little dressing rooms and stuff like that, and very limited parking space. But I got a heads up, and I played a little double agent. You hear this rap? Do you hear this rap? Do you hear this rap? How many of y'all know what a double agent is? How many of y'all do know what a double agent is? Anybody want to tell me what a double agent is? Real quick. Let me help you out. A double agent is a spy who pretends to work for one country or organization while actually working for its enemy. A double agent like Roden Rat Jr. is a spy who pretends to work for Death Row while actually working for the police. One more time. A double agent is a spy who pretends to work for one company or organization while actually working for its enemy.